So changes in the air. You guys feel that? I don't know how it is in Minnesota. You probably are getting chilly there now, huh? Yeah, there's a little coolness in the air. And that means we're nearing the end of summer. So I want to just talk to you a little bit about what that looks like in the body. So from an Ayurvedic perspective, we kind of accumulate heat throughout the summer, and then by the end of summer, it aggravates. So how does this look in the body and the mind? This can sometimes show up as skin disruptions or eruptions, inflammation, rashes, things like that. It could also show up in your digestive system where there is some burning sensations, maybe some heat, which would show up as in loose stools. Also burning and redness in the eyes. And maybe on the mind level, it can show up as agitation. You might be a little bit sharper, maybe a little less patient with things, and maybe your partner. Just saying. So I say that because Mark and I just painted our kitchen. We just redid everything. And it's so interesting when you do that together, isn't it? And it also just prompted cleaning out so many more things, which is like, it's almost like a spring clean at the end of summer. But it feels really good. It can also stir up some things that maybe we've been stuffing. So maybe some emotions and some things that you haven't been wanting to deal with. When you start to move that energy in your house, it starts to move it within ourselves too. And we both were having a conversation about this and how we noticed that, like, wow, it's like things that are maybe we didn't want to like look at or deal with are starting to come to the surface. And it's actually a really good thing. It's uncomfortable sometimes, but definitely really good to help move that up and out of our environment as well as within our body. So this class can be kind of like a way of clearing out. And I'd like to focus a little bit more on releasing some of that excess heat that has accumulated in the system and in the mind and in our constitution. So we'll do some real nice, easy flow, just real gentle. So we'll start on our back, okay? So let's go ahead and arrive, allow yourself to arrive and take a few moments and just lie down. And if you notice that your chin is jutting up and your shoulders are lifted, go ahead and place a small little blanket or towel underneath the base of your neck, underneath the head, so that you have a little more support there. And that way your neck is nice and long and your chin is more neutral. And then we will just go ahead and lie down however is comfortable. So if you want to bend the knees, if your low back is a little sensitive, that's perfectly fine. Make sure that you make the practice work for you. I might be suggesting some things, as I do, but you ultimately are your best teacher. Your body is such a wise teacher. So I invite you to really listen to what your feedback is. What's the body's feedback from moment to moment? Because it will tell you, right? We know how it feels when we have a bad meal, or we didn't enjoy a conversation, maybe it got us a little stressed out. Your body speaks to you. So let's just take just a few moments here and listen to what your body is telling you. And we're still dealing with the events of yesterday. So all the choices that you made yesterday are still right here in the body. The body lives in the past to a certain degree. So your meal choices, the way you slept last night, the things you chose to watch, read, listen to, all of that is present right now. If it's comfortable for you, let's take the soles of the feet together And let the knees just open out to the side. We'll just gently touch on the inner thighs and hips this morning and take about 5 deep breaths. Very nice. And then let's gently assist your knees together with your hands. And then place the knees together and walk the feet to the width of your mat. And just allow your knees to drop in towards each other. So now you're going to feel this in a whole different way. And again, we'll take about 5 deep breaths. Very nice. And then keeping your legs just as they are, drop your knees to the right. So just swivel your knees over to the right. Your knees and thighs don't have to touch the floor, but if they do, that's fine too. And just take a deep breath there, and let's extend that left arm out long, just a little above the head, about a 45-degree angle. Kind of getting into the side body here. And we'll just take a few breaths, really allowing the breath to find a steadiness and a nice cadence. Good, and then keep the feet where they are. Just bring your knees back to center, and then let your knees drop over to the left, and then reach the right arm out long. And again, just give yourself plenty of time to wake up the body, explore. Nice, and then let's place the hands on your belly, and then we'll just take the knees up and over to the side again, and then just go ahead and transition into hip rocking, going side to side. This is a nice way to loosen up the low back and the hips. Very good. Okay, let's come back to center. And then let's place the feet underneath your knees. And then hug your right knee into your chest. Keep the left foot onto the mat, knee bent. And circle through the right ankle 3, 4, 5 times one direction, and then switch it up, go the other way. And make sure the jaw is nice and relaxed, the shoulders are relaxed back and down. Good, and then place the right foot onto the floor underneath your knee, and then take your left knee in. Same thing on this side, just start to circle through your left ankle with relaxed shoulders and relaxed face and jaw. Good, and then place that foot back down. And let's go back to the right knee. Bring the right knee back in again. And extend your left leg long. And kick through the heel of that left leg, left heel. And start to circle now in the right hip. Just take a few circles one direction and then go the other direction when it feels right. Try to create a cadence that's smooth and steady. rather than choppy and erratic. And the breath should match that movement. Good, and let's just squeeze down into that right hip, create a little bit of a tourniquet, just holding still. Take two deep breaths here. And then continuing on, that loosening up the low back area. Bring the right hand to the front of your right knee. Extend your left arm out to the side like an airplane wing. And then bring that right knee, right thigh, right over to the right shoulder, right alongside the ribs. So just draw it out to the side. And then let's bring that back to center. Take the left hand on the outside of the right knee and bring your right arm out like an airplane wing and go into a twist. And we will put those two movements together, just moving back and forth with your breath. So as you inhale, come back to center. Exhale, bring your right knee, right thigh to the right as you extend the left arm out long. And then inhale, center, and exhale to your twist. Right arm out long. And then just going back and forth just a few times on your own. Really using this time to synchronize the breath to the movement. Just do your best. And then let's come back to center and squeeze down again one more time. And then let's take our strap and loop it around the right instep of your right foot. Or you can always just hold on to your right foot with your two fingers, with your right two fingers. And then we'll point and flex your foot. So once you get strapped up, just start to point and flex the foot. And that's really going to get into the back line of that right leg, pointing and flexing, warming up those muscles before you stretch. This is so good to do. It just, increases circulation and also a little warmth to the muscles. Let's do that 2 more times. And then the next time your foot is flexed, keep it flexed, kick through the heels of your feet. And then just hold there for 3 deep breaths. Okay, nice. Let's take a hold of the strap into the right hand and reach the left arm out long like an anchor as you draw the right leg to the right. Keep your legs active. I think this little sequence that we do with the legs is really important for the health of your spine. That's why we do it all the time. Try not to leave this one out. It's such a good one. And then on your next in-breath, bring your leg back up and then take your strap into the left hand, right arm reaches long, and start to bring that right leg across the body. Take your time with this one. You get a little tight in that outer hip area. Go slow. Breathe deep and full. Stay here, 2 more breaths, and just exhale through the mouth a couple times to release any excess heat, inflammation, in the body, but also in the mind. And then let's come back up through center. Release that strap and draw that right knee back into your chest. Take the left foot to the floor and go into figure 4. Right ankle will cross over the left knee. Flex your foot and glue the small of your back to the mat. And reach the arms back above your head. Just take a nice deep inhale here, reaching long. And then you can lift the thighs up and interlace the hands beyond your left thigh. Just make it comfortable for you. So nice to take this time to slow down, right? We get so much benefit from these kinds of practices, setting the tone for the rest of your weekend. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Maybe exhale through the mouth and make sure the jaw is relaxed. There is a connection between the jaw and the hips. And then take that left foot to the floor, uncross your legs and stretch out the legs out in front of you. Reach the arms back behind you. And we call this pond pose because you're making a little pond in the center of your belly. So pull the navel towards the spine as you reach back through the arms and kick through your legs. And maybe a yawn comes in. And then let's bring the knees into the chest and just massaging the low back side to side. And you can circle all around that low back. Should feel really good. A little massage. And then let's extend that right leg long and squeeze the left knee into your chest. And just pulling down, squeezing down, relax the shoulders. And then let's bring that left thigh all the way out to the left as you bring the right arm all the way out to the right. And just enjoy that inner thigh stretch, about 3 breaths. And then we'll take that leg back to center and then over to the twist. Try your best to keep your left shoulder down. And now we are ready for the flow. So inhale, center. Exhale all the way out to the left. Right arm reaches out to the right. Inhale and exhale into your twist. And just go side to side. This one's really nice, should feel good. You might even get a natural chiropractic adjustment. Just not forcing it, anything at all, just let the body do its thing, adjust naturally. Let's go one more time, side to side. And then back to center. Interlace the fingers below your left knee, squeeze down for another couple breaths, stimulating digestion. And then we'll take the strap to your left foot. And once you have that strap looped around your foot, you can start to point and flex, getting some warmth in the back of that left leg. And it also gets into the ankle joint too. Pointing, flexing. And then the next time your foot is flexed, keep it flexed and hold it still for about 3 breaths. Letting the mind settle down. Okay, nice. And then we'll take the strap into the left hand, right arm reaches out long, left leg reaches out to the left. Just think of moving everything away from the center line of the body. Keeping your legs active as if you were standing on your legs. Good, and then on your next inhale, come back up and then set up for your twist. Take your time. Stay here and exhaling through the mouth a couple times. Just a nice organic sigh, nothing forced, not performative at all, just really letting the exhale just leave the mouth. And then we'll come back up on the inhale, release the strap, squeeze the left knee in. And then we'll slide the right foot to the floor and take a figure 4. Flex your foot and glue the back to the mat. Reach the arms back long behind you, flex your foot. And then you can either stay there if that feels good for you, or lift your thighs and interlace the hands beyond your right thigh. Check in with your neck periodically. I find that I have to do that myself. I end up crunching my shoulders up, or my chin will lift up. So every once in a while, just check in with that alignment. Keeping the breath smooth and steady. Just take one more cycle. And then let's release and stretch your legs out again. Pond pose, this time with a little more detailed instructions. So take your arms back behind you like someone's pulling your arms and someone else is pulling your legs. Take an inhale, and then as you exhale, empty completely out and pull the belly back at the end of your exhale. So when you're empty, suck the navel towards the spine, massaging your organs, and then release. Good. Both knees back in towards your chest and massage the low back again. Take some circles, side to side, whatever feels good for you. let's roll on the left side into the fetal position and just take a couple of moments here. And then let's push ourselves all the way up gently and come into a tabletop position. Hands and knees. Boy, that felt good already, right? Take the hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your sit bones. And we're gonna move through some nice, silky smooth cat-cows here. So as you inhale, lift your chest, lift your seat, arch the spine. And then exhale, round the spine, chin towards the chest, navel towards the spine. And moving through each vertebra. So go ahead and take a few on your own. Everyone's cadence might be a little bit different, so don't feel like you have to keep up with me or go as slow as I am. You can go a cadence that works for you. Let's take 2 more rounds here. And then you'll find your way into child's pose. So you can take your big toes to touch, open the knees a little wider, and then bring those hips back towards your heels. Walk the hands further away from you and allow your forehead to rest on your mat. And then let's make a fist with your hands. So just squeeze the hands tight and then open the hands wide. And just take a few of those, just opening and closing the hands. Very nice. And then place the hands back down onto your mat. Walk your hands to the right side, probably off your mat. And we're going to stay to the right side for this next sequence. We're going to inhale and come up to the right, but round the spine. And then go into a cow pose. So lift your chest. And then as you exhale, round the spine and push back into the child pose. Hips back towards your heels, but keep the arms to the right. Now we'll inhale, come up into cow, to the right. Exhale, go into a cat back and pull that left hip back towards your left heel. And we're gonna take this a few times. So once you get that flow, that sequence, really enjoy it because it's getting into the whole left side of the body. It feels so good. And you can take, a little more freedom in the movement. Just make it work for you. And then the next time you're in that child's pose, go ahead and stay there for a breath. And then we'll walk the hands back to center, and we'll do that on the other side. Walk your hands all the way over to the left. Take a moment, just breathe into the right side of your body. See how this side feels. And then we'll inhale, come up to the side into a cow. Lift the chest. And then start to go into that cat back. Keep that right hand plugged into the floor as you bring the right hip back towards your right heel. So you really create a nice opening on that whole right side. It should feel really good, like a massage. This is a place that we get pretty sticky, this side of the body. I call this the TV watching or Netflix muscles. Let's take 2 more. child's variation. Hold there for a breath. And then let's walk the hands back to center. Well, that felt good, right? Let's come up into tabletop, hands and knees. And then bring your hips towards your heels. You could also use a block or two if you need to. So coming into kind of a Vajrasana variation with your hands forward. And then just start to move the hands out to the side. And if you can, start to face them back towards your inner thighs. Yeah, so it's a little different variation than we normally do. Just do the best you can. And you can kind of shift to the right wrist, to the left wrist. This one is pretty strong, but feels good. Okay, and then let's release that. Take the hands forward and walk them out into tabletop again. And then we'll continue on walking the hands forward to a puppy stretch. So getting into that mid-back area where a place for me gets really locked up, gets very achy and sticky in that mid-back. And this pose is just so good to help open all that up. So just a couple key points here. Your hips are in line with your thighs and your knees. Your arms are reaching as far forward as you can, and then melting the chest down, the armpits down. And if the hands are too close together, you might notice a little crunching in the shoulders. If it feels good, you can keep them there. Otherwise, give yourself a little more space. Walk the hands out to more of the corners of your mat. And then we'll transition into another cat pose, hands underneath the shoulders, and then push the floor away, push into the tops of the feet, the shins, and round your spine. And then we'll find more of a neutral spine. So back to tabletop position. Let's bring that right leg straight back, toes facing down. And we're going to bring that right knee to your outer right elbow. Squeeze into the obliques here. And then inhale that leg straight back again. Exhale, knee to the right elbow. Squeeze the belly. And we'll just do that one more time. Inhale. And exhale, squeeze to the side. Now step the foot on the outside of your hands, more towards the edge of your mat. And come into a low lunge, kind of more like a lizard. Hands on the inside of your foot. And then let your left hip shift forward as you kind of twist and look over to the right. And then we'll bring the hips over to the right just a little bit. And then let the hips shift forward and down towards the left. And just take that kind of a flossing movement. I like to do this side to side, getting into the waist, the psoas. That feels so good to me. All right, let's come back through center with your hips and then curl your back toes under, lift up the thigh. Spin your back heel down, toes facing out towards the long edge of your mat. And then walk your hands towards the middle, turn your right toes in. Shift all the way over to your left hip, left thigh. So now you're getting into the right inner thigh, keeping your right foot flat on the mat. And only go down to the degree that feels right for you. Some of you might have more range and you can face the right toes towards the ceiling and bring your hips down closer to the mat. hands into the heart center. This is an option for those of you that have more movement or more range, but feel free to stay in that first variation for about 2 breaths. Good, and then we're going to come back to the center. So straight legs, straight spine, and just fold down. Take a few breaths here. You can always bend those knees though, remember, keeping your spine long. Try to relax your face and your mind. Just breathe into whatever sensation you're feeling. Send your breath there. One more breath. Very nice. And then lifting up halfway, so get a nice flat back. And we'll walk back over to your right toes. Turn your right toes to face forward. And bring your back left knee back down onto the mat. Grab your block. And we're going to stand up and place your block on the outer right hip area. So right alongside the hip. Place your right hand on it. And then lift the left arm up towards the ceiling. So notice that my head is in line with my shoulders, shoulders over my pelvis. So I'm not sinking forward, but I'm pulling back a little bit. With my right hand on the block, I'm going to stretch up with the left arm and just take a side bend to the right. So watch the right knee. Make sure the right knee is tracking the center of your foot. You're reaching up long and just taking that side bend. This is a good one. Very good. And then we'll land that right hand or left hand down and then place the block out in front of you. Just keep it close by. Frame your right foot and then just come back into a half split, a hamstring stretch. Flex your toes. And then let's rotate the inner and the outer heel. Really enjoy this. And then come back to center, flex your toes, lift your chest, take one more breath there. Get into the back line of that right leg. And then we'll come all the way through the low lunge, lift up into the chest. And then let's take a modified Vashisthasana, side plank pose. So left hand is going to anchor down onto the mat. Slide your right leg back behind you or in front of you for a little kickstand and take the right arm up. So if your balance is challenged, I advise to keep your right foot in front of you. If you feel like you want to challenge yourself a little bit more, slide the right leg in line with your body and then stretch the right arm over the ear. And then we'll play with our balance here. Lift up the right leg, lift the right arm straight up, and right leg straight behind you, flex your foot. Option to stay there, practice your balance, or bend your knee, grab your toes, and pull the heel towards your glutes for a thigh stretch. Good, and then wherever you are, just gently release. Place both hands and knees back onto the mat and do some nice big circles with your hips. And then let's reverse that the other way. Very good. And then before we go to the other side, let's lower down all the way down to your belly for Sphinx pose. Just take a gentle back bend here. And just take about 5 nice steady breaths here. So therapeutic for the low back. Very good. One last breath. And then let's just go ahead and go back into a child's pose. And then if you'd like, you can take a down dog. You can also stay in child's if that feels better for you today. But if you want to go ahead and join me in down dog, you can lift your hips and just start to move the heels, kind of pedaling through each side. Good, and then take those knees back down, and we'll do that on the other side. Left leg back, toes facing down. And then bring that left knee to the left elbow, squeeze into the belly. Inhale, straight back. Exhale, squeeze that knee high up towards the tricep, elbow area. And then one more time. Inhale and exhale, squeeze. And then step that foot on the outside of your hands for lizard. Start to shift your right hip forward, kind of going into a little bit of a twist. And then shift your hips to the left and to the right. And just take that movement side to side, getting deep into the belly, the psoas, the hips. It's a great one. Good, and then come back to center, lift your chest. Get nice and long through the spine. Curl your back toes under, lift up the thigh. And then we'll take a quarter turn to your right. And then we're going to sink all the way over into the right hip, right thigh. Keeping your left foot flat. If you feel a really good inner thigh stretch there, that's where you stay. And just enjoy that. Otherwise, if you have more range, you can float those left toes up towards the ceiling and come into a deeper squat, hands to the heart center. We really don't get enough squatting in our daily lives, and it's very healthy for our joints and our organs, specifically the digestive system. Very good, and then let's come up and take that center stretch again, just folding down. Some of you may have a headstand practice, and if you want to practice your Shirsasana, you can go ahead and go into one now. But don't feel like you have to do that, especially if you can't. But getting the head down below the heart will definitely suffice for your inversion. So just enjoy that. Another 2 breaths. Let the head relax. And if you're in a headstand, make sure that your head is free. You're not putting too much pressure on your neck. Good. And if you're in a headstand, you can start to transition out. And then we will all come up halfway, lift up halfway, and then we'll walk over to your left toes again. Bend into that left knee and take your right knee down onto the mat for a low lunge. Now take your block to the left side of your hip, and then you want to make sure you're not collapsing forward, so stand tall, get nice and lifted, everything aligned, and then keeping your left hand on the block, take your right arm up and stretch it over the ear towards the left. Whew, that's a good stretch. Make sure the breath is deep and full. That actually helps our detoxification. 70% of our toxins leave our body through our breath. place that right hand down, take your block off to the side, or maybe you're using it for your half split. So you can use your blocks, of course. Come on back into a hamstring stretch. Hands can be on blocks or just on the floor. And then start to just shift inner and outer heel. And this is tonifying the sciatic nerve, that large nerve that runs from the back all the way down the leg. So this is a very nice thing to do for that nerve. And then flex your toes, lift your chest. And then come all the way through low lunge. Take a moment there. And then come into a tabletop position, hands and knees. And then we'll circle out the hips. Again, because you can't get enough of the circles. They just feel so good. Make sure you go both directions. And then let's lower all the way down to your belly. And we'll do a little bit of spine strengthening here. Also good for the posture, good for the cervical spine, is cobra pose. It's also good for digestion. So many benefits. All right, so I want to make sure that you don't turn this into a push-up. So often I see this, and I even find myself doing this, is you don't want this to be a push-up. This is isolating and using your leg and spine strength. So bring the hands underneath your shoulders and then slide them back so the tips of your fingers are in line with the center of your chest. Bring your forehead down, wrap your elbows close to your ribs, firm your legs, and then inhale, start to lift your chest and press your chest forward as you pull the hands slightly back. And then as you exhale, lower back down. It doesn't matter how high you go. Inhale, come up. Wrap your elbows in, pull the hands back. And then exhale, lower down. One more time. So your hands aren't actually moving, but isometrically. It's like you're dragging the mat back with the chest. So good. Lower down, and then find your child's pose. Or you could take a down dog. And just take a few breaths there. Let's take the feet out the width of your mat. If you're in down dog, if you're not, come into down dog just briefly. And then walk your hands back towards that space between your feet. Reach for opposite elbows. Maybe soften your knees. And just let yourself dangle and sway side to side. Good, and then place the hands on your hips, and we're going to rise all the way up with a flat back. Keep your feet about outer hip distance apart. Sweep the arms up towards the ceiling. Interlace the hands and turn the palms inside out like you're trying to push the ceiling up away from you. And lean back a little bit, kind of like a cow pose. Leaning back, arching your spine. And now going into what would look like a cat pose, bend your knees and start to round the spine. Pull your seat underneath you. Press the palms away from you and bring your chin towards your chest. And then inhale, come back up to what we call a cow pose, standing cow. Open the chest, maybe look up and lean back. And then exhale, bend your knees, pull your belly in, round the spine, flushing out your shoulders. And one more time like that. Inhale up and lean back. Open your chest, look up. And as you exhale, bend your knees, round the spine, flushing out the shoulders. Good, and then we're going to come all the way up. Let the arms come all the way down and behind you. And bring your feet underneath your hip bones. Stretch the arms long. Opening up your chest. And then we'll take the hands, this is one of my favorites. Bring your hands over to your right hip area. I'll face you so that you can kind of see there, and wrap that elbow back behind you and squeeze the left forearm to your back of your body. So you feel that nice connection there. Lengthen up through the crown of your head, and then just drop your right ear to your right shoulder. Keeping that side tilt with your head, you can bring your chin slightly forward so you get more into the back of the neck, the side of the neck. And then leaning the head back and forth. So maybe you're taking that gentle movement, which for me is really nice and heavenly for that neck area. This is an area I've been really struggling lately. Maybe it's all the painting. I don't know, but man, it feels good. All right, and then we'll come back up, straighten the arms back behind you, open your chest again, and then take your hands over to your left waist now. Sometimes you have to hoist it over there, right, because you're tight. Rack the elbow back, squeeze the right forearm to your ribs so you feel that connection. That's important. Lengthen up, and then just drop your left ear, left shoulder. And then start to tilt your head forward and back. Getting into the flossing movement. I love that. And this idea of flossing our muscles suggests that we should do it every day. We do it more often. And notice the big difference that you might feel on this side. For me, it's like a different person over here. Very good. And then we'll lift the head gently. Stretch the arms back one more time. And then just give them a little shake out. Nice. All right, let's shift gears here. Let's open wide on our mat here, bringing your feet out wide, and bring the arms out wide. Good, turn your right toes to face forward or to the side, and then just bend and straighten. Just take a few of these, getting into the hips a little more. And then we'll settle right into your warrior two. For a softer quality today, let's bring the hands into the heart center and sink into the hips. And that way you're really focusing on what you're feeling in the lower half of your body. Make sure the knee is tracking the center of your foot, so you take care of your knees. And maybe you sink just a little bit deeper. Good. Then from here, you're just going to tilt to your bent leg and place your right forearm on your thigh and stretch that left arm away from that right arm. Turn the palm to face over the back of your head and stretch long over the ear. And then we're going to bring that left arm back up and just put it right alongside your body, the left leg, the left ribs, and look down away from that left shoulder. As you inhale, turn the palm and stretch it over the ear, look up underneath the armpit. And then as you exhale, turn the palm to face down and look away. So good to open up the neck. One more time, inhale up and stretch long. And exhale, powerfully move that shoulder away from the ear as you look down. And then this time we're gonna come up, straight legs and arms, reach out. And then just take a nice little reverse Trikonasana. Just stretch long, side bend. And then now we naturally have triangle pose. So we'll lengthen out and place the hand down wherever it goes, top arm up. If you're having any shoulder issues, just bring the hand on the waist. It's perfectly fine. Work with what you got. Every day, every stage, every season is different. We'll take one more breath here. And then bend your knee to come out, warrior two. Hands on your hips. Straighten up the legs, turn your right toes to face forward. And then we'll move to the left side. Turn your left toes to face towards the short edge of your mat. Bring the arms out wide. Bend and straighten into that left knee, left hip. And then we'll settle into the hips and bring the hands to the heart. So it's a nice softer quality on the neck and the shoulders. Bend into that front knee so the knee lands over the ankle and you can still see the tips of your toes. Breathe there, really nice to get into the hips. And then we'll start to tilt to the left. So your left knee, the left knee that's bent. Place the left forearm on the thigh and then reach that right arm away from the left arm. Turn the palm to face down face up and over the head. Stretch long. So you have this clear line from your pinky finger to pinky toe. And then now turn the palm to face back. Look down towards the left big toe. And then inhale up and look up underneath the armpit. Exhale, turn the palm to face down. Powerfully move that shoulder away from your ear as you look away. And we'll do that one more time. Inhale. And exhale. Good, and then we're gonna stand up, straight legs and arms, adjust your stride if you need to. And then go back into reverse Trikonasana, nice side stretch here. Make sure the legs are super firm, and then we'll transition into Trikonasana. Lengthen out over that firm, straight left leg. Top arm stretches up, bottom arm stretches down, and use your core, use your leg strength more than just relying on collapsing on that leg. So that hand should really essentially be light. And then bend into your left knee, warrior two. Good. Straighten up the legs, bring your hands on your hips, turn your feet back to face forward, and then heel, ball, heel, ball, heel, ball. All the way until your feet are underneath your knees, your hips. And then we'll transition into a balance. Okay, so we're gonna shift the weight to the right leg, hands into the heart center. And all I want you to do is pause for just a moment and reconnect back to your breath. A lot of times when we think of balancing, or even when we start to do balancing, we lose that connection and we end up fighting ourselves. So keep the breath steady, smooth, even if you fall. It's like the breath doesn't know about it. It stays the same. And then when you're ready, you can turn the left knee out to the side and maybe place the foot on the inside of the calf or ankle. And maybe you put it right back down until you find your balance. Of course, you can use a wall. But we don't want to rely on using the wall. You want to actually build your own strength and confidence. Bring the foot up high into the upper inner thigh if it's available. If not, just down below the knee. And then whatever variation you're doing with your arms. Good, last 2 breaths. Try to end on a good note. So if you have fallen, come back in and then control the release. You decide. Put the foot down and hands to the heart. Maybe you want to give your knees a little shake out, maybe the arms a little shake out, especially if you feel tense or balancing. So remember, I've said this before and I love this idea. The more you relax, the more successful you'll be in everything that you do. not just here in the balancing. So practice that. Practice relaxing into this effort so you're not over-efforting or under-efforting. There's a beautiful balance in Virksasana, tree pose. Shift the weight to your left leg, turn your right knee out to the side, and then you go ahead and go into it however feels comfortable for you, and take your time. Nobody cares if you fall out 10, 15 times. This is your practice. You're building confidence and strength as long as you don't give up. You have to keep coming back. Keep practicing your balance because it's the first thing that leaves us as we get older. We want to hold on to it. Whatever variation you're doing, you have about 5 breaths, which is roughly 30 seconds or so. And if you have fallen, come back again. End it on a good note. And then we will all release. Hands to the heart. Take the hands on your hips, please. And just circle the hips. Big circles, one direction. And then the other direction. And then we can relax the arms and just roll the head gently to however feels good for you. Just rolling out the tension in your neck. And then go the other way. My neck is very noisy today. You might notice some noises yourself. Come back to a still point, close your eyes. Just feel your feet on your mat. Take a deep inhale through the nose and just open up the mouth gently and sigh it out. Nice exhale. Good, and let's come up to the top of your mat and separate your feet hip distance, Tadasana. And then we'll inhale, stretch the arms out and up. Take a little back bend, take a big back bend, take a medium-sized back bend. Whatever feels good, but reach up and back. And then soften your knees and exhale, come all the way down into your forward fold. And then let's inhale halfway. So slide the hands to the front of your shins, reach the spine out of the waist, neck long. And exhale, fold. And let's step back into plank pose, upper push-up position. And if you have any shoulder issues, wrist issues, and you need to bring your knees down, go ahead. But otherwise, let's build a little strength here. You could also, oh, that's good, Mark. Yeah, you could also come down to the forearms, which is not necessarily easier, but it does take the pressure off the wrist. So choose wherever you'd like to be. Either way is great, and we'll be here for 5 breaths. Holding your own body weight is one of the best things you can do to build strength. Those are the strongest athletes, the ones that push and pull their own body weight. One more breath. And then we will take the knees down gently and lower all the way down to your belly. And now let's stretch out our arms, our shoulders. Walk the right arm out to the side and stack your shoulders, stack your hips. If you have more range, you can bend the top knee and place the foot on the floor behind you. But please do what feels right for you. transition to the other side. And make sure you move slowly with awareness. And then let's go ahead and make your way back to your belly. And then come back into a brief child's pose. If you'd like, you could bring the arms alongside your body. Allow your shoulders to roll forward, forehead rests. And then we'll take a seat on your mat with your legs straight out in front of you for Dandasana, stack pose. Get your sit bones right underneath you and then stack from there. Shoulders over the hips, ears over the shoulders, and then reach the arms up, big breath in. And start to move towards the straight legs so the belly actually comes down first rather than like this, rounding. So stay lifted, just like Tadasana. Once you meet the resistance and you can't go anymore, your body goes screeching halt, then take the hands down alongside your legs and continue to lift your chest and start to stretch towards your toes. This happens incrementally, so go slowly. Even considering your body structure, your own personal, the way your body is made. If you have really long legs, then this is going to be a little bit more challenging and probably will look different. But it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's really more about what you're feeling. And keeping the optimal alignment for your body is going to really serve you well. So keep trying to think of that back bend, even in this forward fold, which is interesting. Think back bend, and your spine gets long. 2 more breaths. This is a variation of Paschimottanasana, which is west side of the body stretching. Is so interesting. From your Achilles tendon all the way to your cervical spine is getting a nice stretch. All right, and then let's gently move away from that. Take your hands behind you for support. Bring your feet to the width of your mat. And just like we did when we were lying down in the beginning, just start to swivel. Actually, come onto your heels. Come onto your heels. And then swivel your knees to the right and to the left. Yeah, and you want your feet to be the width of your mat so you have plenty of space to internally rotate and externally rotate your hips. So give yourself plenty of space so you're not colliding with your feet. Okay, very nice. And then let's find our way onto your back for some bridge. And considering the sequence of the class, we did some shoulder openers and some hip openers. So you could do full Urdhva Dhanurasana, full wheel. If you feel so inclined and you feel like that's calling you, then feel free to do that. Otherwise, we'll just come into bridge pose. So peel the hips up, walk your shoulders closer together underneath you, maybe clasping your hands, and press down into the arms and the feet, and a little bit in the back of the head. And then from that foundation, everything else moves away from the foundation. So press down and lift up, press down and lift up for 3 breaths.
ready, you will lower gently one vertebra at a time if you can. And then we'll take a happy baby pose. Flex your feet towards the ceiling. Reach for what you can. It may not be your feet. I can't emphasize that enough. It's not about reaching your feet. This is more about improving the length of your spine. So get the chin down, drop your tail down, get your spine a little flatter, and just bring your feet towards the ceiling, reach for what you can, and then pull the knees towards your armpits with your spine nice and long. It's gonna feel better to do it that way. Okay, very nice. And then let's take the feet to the floor. And then let's keep the feet to the width of your mat. And then we'll drop the knees all the way to the right. Take your right foot and place it right on top of your outer left knee, outer left thigh area. And use that right foot as a weight to pull that thigh, that knee down on the left. You could reach that left arm away from the left leg, just getting more into the front thigh, hip area. It's a nice stretch. And then very gently, we'll switch sides. Take your knees over to the left. Take your left foot on top of the right knee, right thigh, and use it as a weight. Good. Just enjoy that. So as we are nearing the end of a season, and then we begin a new season, our bodies actually go through a big transition. So it's a little bit hard on the body if we don't give it the proper tools. So a really good idea to eat light and more nourishing foods that have cooling qualities to them, like using your spices, coriander and fennel, turmeric. Those are all really nice spices to use right now. And it's even good to do a little cleanse. You could do a mild cleanse so that you can purge out the excess heat that's accumulated in the body, and that way you go into the next season more balanced. Okay, let's come back up to center. Hug your knees into your chest. I just have to throw in the food element, you guys. I can't help myself. So if you are interested in eating more balanced and helping your body cleanse at the end of a season, reach out to me. Let me know. I'm happy to help. It's one of the best things you can do for your health to prevent disease and to preserve your health. All right, let's take the feet to the floor. You can let your knees just drop out to the side. If that's not comfortable for you, take your legs out long. And just take a moment to bring in some 1 to 2 breathing. So breathing in for 4, and if it's comfortable, breathe out for 8. Just take about 5 rounds of that breath. It's really a lovely breath to do at the end of the practice, really any time of day, but it gets us more connected to that parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and the digest. This is where our body does its healing, digesting properly, sleeping properly. The stress response, the sympathetic nervous system has a place for sure, but we're not designed to live in that place. We're only meant to be there for a temporary moment to save our lives, to preserve our life, and then we go back immediately to the parasympathetic state. And
And unfortunately, we're not living in a place where we're doing that very often. We're living really chronically in the stress response. So go ahead and take now your Shavasana, relax completely, let your breath be natural. Just receive all of the great benefits of this work you've done, your diligency, your commitment to be here. You wouldn't be here if you weren't benefiting from it, so I appreciate all of you for coming here every Saturday and spending your morning with me or afternoon, wherever you are. Please take a good amount of time here, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, just resting. I'm going to officially end the practice, but I do invite you to stay resting for a little bit longer. I'm wishing you all a lovely day, a wonderful weekend. Namaste.